You know the racket failures without a lab test. The frame that lost its pop by the end of one season. The off-center hit that sends a shock up your forearm. The racket that looked just like the one the pros use, but played nothing like it once you got it home. None of that was bad luck. It was a number nobody showed you before you paid. What the frame is actually made of. We checked it across Walmart, Amazon, and pro shops. Let's walk through the stores together and save the one actually worth your money for last. Walmart is selling the Wilson Ultra Power XL 112 as a 2-pack for about $30. This failed immediately. The frame is Airlight alloy, that's aluminum with a marketing name. The extended length adds weight without adding stiffness. You're swinging something heavier that doesn't control impact. This racket works if you hit a tennis ball twice a year in your backyard. If you play more than a handful of times a month, this fails your game. Your arm will feel it. Your shots won't be consistent. You'll get frustrated. This is the entry-level fail that tricks people because the Wilson name looks legitimate on the package. Don't fall for it. Walmart stocks a rotating handful of these aluminum 2-packs every season, sometimes under the Wilson name, sometimes under a generic in-house label, and the construction underneath barely changes from one to the next. The name on the box changes, the metal tube inside does not. But walk 5 feet down the same Walmart aisle and you find the Wilson Ultra 100 VM4 for about $200. This one works. Carbon fiber graphite frame. 100 square inches, 16 by 19 pattern, 300 grams. This is a real intermediate to advanced racket. Tennis Warehouse reviews it. Tennis.com reviews it. Players actually use it at the club level. The head speed and control specs put it in the same conversation as rackets that cost more at specialty shops. And you don't have to drive anywhere to find it. The difference between these two isn't the store. It's not the brand. One is aluminum and fails. One is graphite and works. Same Walmart. Same aisle. The only thing that matters is the material inside the frame. If you're watching this, you already know which stores you shop at. You already know which websites you use. And some of what's coming next is worse than aluminum. Notice something else about that Ultra 100 V4. 16 by 19. That number matters too, and most buyers never ask about it. String pattern is the second variable that decides how a racket performs once the material passes the test. An open pattern like 16 by 19 means fewer, more spread out strings, which gives you more spin, more comfort, and a bigger sweet spot. A denser pattern like 18 by 20 pack strings closer together for more control and less spin, and that's usually what advanced players choose when they want precision over power. Neither pattern is a fail on its own, but buy the wrong one for your game and you've bought the wrong tool. Swing weight matters just as much. A racket can be light on a bathroom scale and still swing heavy if the weight sits toward the head, which is why two rackets listing the same grams can feel different in your hand and load more shock into your arm on off-center hits. Get the material right, then check pattern and balance before you buy. None of this shows up in big font on the box. You have to read the spec sheet or ask someone who knows, which is why so many buyers skip it and end up with a racket that's technically graphite, but still wrong for how they play. Amazon is where we found a different kind of failure. The Hiraliy 2-pack shows up at the top of search results because it's cheap and it comes with everything. Balls, overgrips, carrying bag. That bundle makes it look like good value. Here's what actually happened. The frame is high-grade aviation aluminum. That's just marketing for aluminum tubing. 260 grams. You're paying for the extras and the bundle illusion, not for a real racket. This failed the same way the Walmart aluminum failed. It works once or twice. It doesn't work if you actually play tennis. The bundle hides the fact that you're buying a novelty racket. Click one listing over on the same Amazon site and you find the Babolat Pure Drive 10th generation. Graphite. 100 square inches, 300 grams, 16 by 19. This is what Babolat sells in actual pro shops. It's the same frame, same materials, same performance. There's no online-only downgrade, no lighter layup to hit a lower price point. What you click is what a pro shop would hand you across the counter. This matters because it proves the difference isn't Amazon itself. It's whether you click on aluminum or graphite. Both sit on the same website. The bad one gets bought because of the cheap price and the bundle hype. The good one gets bought by someone who knows what to look for. Now you know what to look for. If you see aluminum, move on. If you see graphite, you're in the right place. There is a third online source, and this one is not just a fail, it is a warning. Tennis Warehouse Australia has published an entire guide on this because so many buyers keep getting caught. They documented a counterfeit head flex point radical tour bought on eBay, and side by side with the real racket, it looked almost identical in photos. Almost. The grip was a different color and clearly lower quality. The frame colors were slightly off. It was missing the flex point text that should run along the side. The head size measured closer to an oversized frame instead of the true 100 square inch radical tour. Worst of all, the fake had 18 main strings instead of the 16 the real racket is built around, which changes how the entire frame is supposed to perform. A stringing shop in Canada has documented the same pattern with counterfeit frames bought through AliExpress. A customer buys a fake for $50, brings it in to get strung, and the frame snaps under normal stringing tension because the counterfeit material was never built to hold it. When the customer is told the frame failed, they often demand a real replacement worth 5 times what they paid, which means honest buyers end up covering the cost through higher prices everywhere else. This is not a racket that plays worse than the real thing. It is a frame that was never built to survive normal use in the first place. Before the next store, one failure has nothing to do with the frame: grip size. It doesn't show up in a spec comparison, but it wrecks more games than a bad frame does. Too small forces you to squeeze harder on every shot, sending strain into your elbow and forearm. Too large restricts your wrist snap and kills your spin and head speed. Players get the material right and still end up hurting because they grabbed whatever grip was on the shelf. The fix is simple. Measure from the middle crease of your palm to the tip of your ring finger. That's your grip size in inches, and it should match the racket or get built up with an overgrip. Free fix, prevents an injury a better frame can't undo. Most players never measure. They grab whatever grip size the display model happened to have and assume it's close enough. It isn't, and the cost shows up as tennis elbow 6 months later, not as a bad swing today. Tennis Warehouse sells the Wilson Pro Staff RF97 Autograph, Roger Federer's signature racket, for around $430. Here is what nobody tells you about it. The standard version of the same racket family, the Wilson Pro Staff 97 V14, sells at the same store for around $260. Same graphite, same 97 square inch head, same construction. On the court, there is nothing separating the two frames that justifies a $170 gap. What you are actually paying that extra money for is Federer's name stitched into the throat. This is the heritage tax in its purest form. You are not buying a better racket. You are buying a signature. When you step into a real pro shop, failures become rarer because the selection is built differently. Nobody is stocking aluminum novelty rackets next to performance frames to catch a bargain shopper. The staff has usually strung 100 of these rackets themselves and can tell you how each one actually plays, not just what the box says. But we found one racket that passes the test for value. The Head TS6 costs $80 to $100. Titanium graphite composite frame, 115 square inches, 8.9 ounces strong. This racket has been around for years and stays on the market because it actually works. It's honest. The price matches what you're getting. The materials match the price. Beginners, seniors, casual players. This is their racket. It's not built to compete at a high level, but that's transparent. No surprises, no hype. Pro shop staff will tell you the same thing if you ask them directly, because there is nothing to hide behind on this one. It's proof that a low price and a real racket aren't contradictions, as long as the frame is honest about who it's built for. Then there's the Babolat Pure Aero 2023 at $250. This passes completely. Graphite construction, 100 square inches, 300 grams unstrung, 16 by 19, NF2 flax dampening technology. This racket earns its price. Tennis Warehouse rates it top tier for spin and power. Tennis.com reviews it. Tennis Nerd reviews it. Perfect Tennis reviews it. These independent reviewers all say the same thing because the racket actually delivers. It's for intermediate and advanced players. For someone who plays seriously, this is real performance. Not a paint job, not a fantasy, real graphite, real specs, real results on court. When a racket shows up on every major review site with the same verdict, that's not marketing consensus. That's the frame doing the talking. This is the one worth saving for last. The proof that when a price gap is real, the reviews from every corner of the sport line up to say so. Here's what you need to understand. 8 rackets, 3 retailers, aluminum failed at Walmart and Amazon. Graphite and carbon worked everywhere it showed up, including inside the pro shop's own budget rackets. The store never decided whether a racket was good or bad. The material did. One question does almost all the work before you buy anything. What is the frame made of? Aluminum means a toy. Graphite or carbon means real tennis equipment. After that, check the string pattern against your game, check the swing weight against the head size, and check your grip size before you ever swing it, because a frame that's right on paper can still hurt you if the grip is wrong. Walmart, Amazon, and the pro shop all had both failures and winners, sitting a few feet or a few clicks apart. The difference was never the location. It was always what was inside the frame. Most buyers never check. They grab aluminum because it's the first thing they see, or they overpay for a name stitched into the throat because nobody told them what they were actually buying. You know better now. Tell us in the comments which racket store you feel like you got burned by.